Welcome to the Develop Yourself podcast, where we teach you everything you need to land your first job as a software developer by learning to develop yourself, your skills, your network, and more. I'm Brian, your host. Your number one superpower as a developer is your speed of learning, and we're going to get into a method I call the Caterpillar learning method to learn things fast AF. But before we do that, I want you to go to the bottom of this show in the links in the description, and I want you to get the Ultimate JS Guide. I have a ton of stuff in there that's going to help you on your journey to be a web developer. It's all free. There's a book, there's interactive JS challenges, there's a form challenge, all stuff with minimal videos. I know that humans are meant to consume knowledge mostly through text-based learning. I feel really strongly about that. If you can't find it there, or maybe you're driving or whatever, go to parsity.io, get the Ultimate JS Guide. Tons of stuff included in there and some brand new stuff that I made over this weekend. I think it's really, really fun. It's going to help you get your hands dirty with code, and it goes everything from like beginner to fairly advanced stuff with backend Node Express stuff. Anyway, back to our regularly scheduled episode. So many developers get caught in what I call a learning rabbit hole, or the learning hamster wheel. It goes a little something like this. You want to learn something like how to code or how to do something with JavaScript or React or whatever. And you find a YouTube tutorial, you go down it, and then it leads you to another tutorial to learn something that they brought up in the first tutorial. Then you go through that one. And then you go back to another tutorial to learn something that you didn't understand in the other tutorial. You do this long enough, and you're in what's called tutorial hell. This place, this really frustrating place where you're watching somebody type code, you're typing along with them, and you're getting something out of it. You're getting an output, but you're not actually making any significant progress in your learning. So I have a much better way to do this to help you avoid tutorial hell. This is the fast path out of tutorial hell. It's going to help you supercharge your learning. And whether you are a junior developer learning how to code, or maybe you're trying to pick up a new framework at your current job as a mid-level developer or even senior, I think this is the best way to learn. And I'm going to share it with you. It's called the Caterpillar method for developers. Copyright still pending on that one. So a few weeks ago, I was doing a meetup with Parsity students, and we were exploring how to do a app with Next.js. Want to do this because it's new. We have some more course material related to it. And I thought, what better way to introduce it than getting some people together and learning it together, learning some really basics of it. I'm still pretty new to this stack myself, and I'm teaching it along with doing my job and running Parsity and other stuff. And of course, we were building it together. And one person asked me, say, hey, how are you learning this stuff? And my simple kind of answer was, well, I'm building it, getting stuck. I'm reading the docs, and then I'm going back to ChatGPT to answer the stuff that I don't know. But then I thought, what am I really doing? What have I been doing all these years to learn stuff fast? Because I've had to go from jQuery and like basic JavaScript to C# and SQL. From there, I had to learn Ember.js and Ruby. From there, I had to learn React, Node Express, Mongo, and Elasticsearch. And from there, I had to go on it and learn like advanced CSS, I'd say, at like my current role, and then how to be an engineering manager. So everywhere I've gone, I've had to like pick up these new skills, and most of them have been really technical in the first few job hops. And then when I'm doing contracts, for example, I've had to pick up Vue.js or Angular or whatever somebody wanted me to know. And I had to do just enough to be dangerous. And when I think about how I've learned these things over the years, I've done it really wrong. And I think I have a really good system for doing it now. And it's called the Caterpillar learning method. And I'm going to explain what it is, right? I used to learn a lot like you maybe are right now. You buy a tutorial or a book, you discover a new tool while you're watching it, you research the new thing, you go back to the tutorial, you repeat the cycle a few times and maybe buy more tutorials. And now you finally sit down to code. You realize you have no freaking clue what to do without the tutorial. Then you cry a little bit, right? I did this one summer. Before I learned how to code, I was reading a book on HTML and CSS. So it's like a 500-page book. And I was like diligently going through the entire book. And I thought, man, if I make it to the end of this book, that is going to be the key to my success as a developer. It was this odd mindset that I got from being in school, right? You finish the assignment. And at the end of the assignment, there is a reward. The reward is that it's finished. Now, development software is different. And I think learning in general as an adult is different. You're learning, but not with the intention of just finishing the thing in front of you. You're learning with the intention to use a practical amount of that knowledge to acquire a practical skill, an application of that knowledge. This other way where you're just reading something and then it leads to more reading is like a rabbit hole learning strategy. You're going on these little side quests and you're not really getting anywhere because you're just falling down a bunch of these rabbit holes of despair. So you meant to create like a React.js app, right? But now you're searching for the virtual DOM and then Redux. And now you've learned some other thing. And you say, oh, what's this? And you're getting pulled in all these directions because you have no direction. And all you really needed to know was how to do something fairly simple. But now you've confused yourself on several other topics and you've extended your learning path by a factor of like 10. I would never recommend this path. I've done it before. I know a lot of you are doing this one. I want to show you a much better way to do it. So I've used this same approach to pick up multiple tech stacks. And it means I've had to learn completely new languages, frameworks, and it's by mimicking the caterpillar, right? So how does a caterpillar move? It contracts and then it expands its body in segments in a sequential manner to go forward. The movement involves contracting the rear and then extending the front. And maybe you're like, yeah, I know how a caterpillar moves. I just want to explain it to you. I just want you to get the image in your head. I want you to be like this caterpillar when you're learning. So step one, the scrunch, that part where it contracts. So before you can propel yourself forward, you need to build up some base knowledge. And when I say base knowledge, I mean base knowledge. I want you to learn exactly what you need in order to move to the next step of your learning journey. So if you're learning a new programming language, for example, you want to start off with the basics like writing a for loop, the syntax for declaring variables and objects. Avoid going into how the compiler interprets variables or complex concepts like closures or advanced design patterns. If you're learning JavaScript, for example, learning how to write a for loop, learning how to write objects, learning how to iterate over an array, learning how to declare variables, learning conditional statements. These are the main basics you'll need to know. Once you know that, now it's time for step two, the extension. So you want to apply the knowledge that you just gained in the scrunch and actually write some code. You won't know much and that's completely fine. That's okay. That's expected. So write out a for loop. So you've read about it. You understand what it is. You understand basically, okay, I kind of get what a for loop is. I have a basic understanding of what it does. It iterates. It goes over some data. But how do I write it out? So now you need to actually put pen to paper, write it out, figure out how to iterate over an array of objects, figure out how to get a component to render on the screen. Use a tool like Code Sandbox, CodePen.io, use Visual Studio Code, whatever you need to get something on paper really quick and then see the result of that. Super important. Now extend that knowledge and keep extending it until you get stuck again. So for example, if you are doing a for loop, you think, what happens if I only want to iterate over every third item? What happens if I want to iterate over an array of objects and then console log a specific key in that object? Go until you get stuck, then figure out how. This is when you have to make up your own little side quests, right? This is when your creativity comes in handy and you need to have a little bit of this, unfortunately. I mean, this is not something I can just teach, right? You need to have a little bit of creativity to think, what else can I do? What are other weird things I can do until you get stuck? Then you go back and you repeat this. So how do you find ways to extend the knowledge? So now you've gone through the scrunch, you've gone through the extension. Now it's time to repeat. Once you've reached the depth of your knowledge, you go back, learn a little bit more, another bite-sized chunk, and then apply it. I've been learning this method to learn everything from C# to Node Express to React. And eventually you want to go back and revisit the complex concepts you've skipped, but only after you've gained some practical knowledge and application. So knowledge is generally worthless, I'd say, without application in action. Take the example of knowing about dieting and calories. You could be an expert in calories and diet and all this stuff, but it's worthless unless you actually apply it. You can see a person that is like on their deathbed from gorging themselves with potatoes and donuts. Odd diet this person had. I don't know why they're eating potatoes and donuts. Hey, there's some people out there that might. Anyway, they might know all this stuff about diets and calories. They might be a physical fitness trainer. But what difference does it make if they didn't apply it? The same thing happens in coding. You can read a ton of books. I've met people that, I know this advanced concept in I understand this very advanced language and such. And then I'm like, oh, cool, let's write some together. And they have no clue. Before you can get conceptual, you must get practical. And don't get me wrong, concepts are a very important thing to understand at a certain point in your career. When you're just getting started, however, I think you need to optimize for the basics, learning how to practically apply them, doing a little bit of memorization, saying, okay, I don't necessarily get how maybe, reduce or filter or map really works or what's going on under the hood, but I understand how to leverage and use it in a fairly basic way. I understand how to get some stuff done. Is that enough? Absolutely. So next time you find yourself falling down a rabbit hole, remember the caterpillar. He's going to save you. Hope that's helpful. See you around. That'll do it for today's episode of the Develop Yourself podcast. To learn more about becoming a software engineer with us, then check out parsity.io. If you're not quite ready for that, then jump into our dev30.xyz program, which is 30 days of working on your mindset, habits, and JavaScript skills. Totally worth it. See you next week.